1, 2, 3.
4, 5, 6.
Welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. I'm Jonathan, if we haven't met, and we are going to have an absolute riot today as we're going to talk to Ruheene from Brandpod and learn about some really cool software. Many of you guys know I don't tend to go around making a big deal out of most software that's not ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or something like that, as I'm a really big believer in using them. But Ruheene and I had the opportunity to meet this past summer and learned about her company and what she's doing. She's got some multiple companies that she runs, some really amazing stuff. One of the things that I really love, though, is their new software called Brandpod. And what I love about it so much, and I'm not going to ruin it because Ruheene will know far more than I will, but it, you know, we can go into our normal tools and we can dig in and we can spend lots and lots of time putting everything together. And sometimes we wonder, where do we save it and how do we manage this and pull it all together? And candidly, when it comes to branding and marketing, it can be a royal pain in the tush. And I know I've often lost things that I've worked on. And BrandPod has got some really cool thing that we're doing. I'm going to let Ruheene explain that and kind of go through that. But I'm excited to show you guys because I really believe that for many of us, this is a software that can help us do our jobs better and can save us even more time. And that means make us more money and serve our audience even that much better. So, Ruheene, welcome. So happy to have you here. Before I butcher things anymore, why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about yourself, and then I'll turn things over and let you kind of demo the software and amaze us all. But start a little bit, talk to us just a little bit about who you serve and maybe validate the things I said about how we met and got together and kind of chatted here and there.
Well, thank you for having me, Jonathan. I know we've been talking about this since we met last summer, so I'm super excited to finally do this with you. And no, you haven't butchered anything because when it comes to personal brands, I think there's so much to be learned from you. And so I hope you'll join in and share a lot of the knowledge that you've picked up along
Happy
the way,
to.
building your own personal brand as well. I think a lot of us can take so much away from that. But a little bit about me for those of you that, by the way, is that sound coming from my side? Because I hear
Yeah, so
a,
that's new people joining in. So I made you a
got it.
co-host in case something happens internet-wise. You can continue on, and that's just the new people joining in with us.
Got it. Okay. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like some sort of alarm on my side because I haven't heard that sound before. Um, Anyway, a little bit about me. So I have been in the branding and marketing world for a very long time now. I don't want to age myself, but let's just say I was part of the iPhone 5 launch back in 2012. And I did a few other launches along the way as well. So I've worked with companies like Marvel, Apple, Amazon, and I say that not because I think, I mean that positions me as some sort of expert in anything really, but I say that because I had through all of those experiences, I actually saw how companies had really successful launches, but also how they failed and how a brand had so much to do with both things. I've seen large companies like Amazon. I was a part of their Amazon Fire Phone launch, which nobody remembers, and I don't blame you. But having seen what a colossal fail that was and how it was because there was no positioning strategy or actual market, I don't want to say market data, but there wasn't an actual market positioning strategy applied to that specific launch. So all that to say that I've reverse engineered a lot of what I've learned from these big brands, and something that drives me to do everything that I do today is to reverse engineer and bring those same tools and strategies and approaches using AI to small businesses so we can all win, having learned from those bigger brands.
Well, I'm excited to have you here again. You and I have been talking on and off, and have met again at subsequent events, and had a chance to meet some of your team and meet your amazing husband, who I know is behind the scenes on a lot of what's happening here. So I'm super excited. Just a couple bits of housekeeping for everybody who's joining in. We did mute everybody coming in. If you would stay muted, we appreciate it. We don't need to hear the cat or the dog or the phone call that you hopped on. We will likely have time for Q&A. And if we do, then I will make sure I call on you and you guys can go ahead and unmute and go from there. But we're going to turn it over to Ruheene. And again, if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate. I'll be watching the chat as well. And for those of you wondering, we will have the replay available. When we do that, we put out the full video, the full transcript, and the full Zoom chat. So as a reminder, if you don't want the public to notice it, don't put it in the Zoom chat because we don't edit it. So with that, Ruheene, I'm going to turn things over to you. I'm going to drop off the main screen, and I think you should be ready to share and go. If you need anything, I'll definitely be here, and of course, drop in with my opinions periodically. So it's all yours.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jonathan. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. So there we go. Hopefully you guys see. I'm not going to bore you with a ton of slides. I really wanted this to be more like demo heavy and show you all the cool things that you can do with AI today. But just to start us off and just to kind of talk a little bit about what we all think a brand is. And I know a lot of us are trying to build a brand, and we're searching on, searching up. I mean, the search trend data shows that a lot of us are searching up how to build a brand. But in terms of what a brand means to each of us and how we can think about building one that mimics what some of the bigger brands have already figured out over the years and over the decades, and how we can pull that into not just our business brand, but our personal brands as well. So with that, let's talk about what is brand-led growth, right? So can you guys in the chat, I'd love to know what you think is brand-led growth. Not specifically for your personal brand, but tell me a little bit about what that means to you so that we can make sure we're on the same page as we talk about all the things that you can do about it. I'm going to open up my chat window here.
I say I'm watching the chat as well, so I'll definitely throw things in here as we get here. I'll dive into me. I think brand-led growth, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, that maybe one of those things is where you're not leading with a product, but you're leading with the brand that trust, I guess, that people are going to be able to rely on. We've all got those companies, I think, that we buy just because we trust the company. So to me, that would be brand-led growth. Scott's saying memorable without digital tabs. Lisa says, reputation and how you're seen as part of, as being an expert in your community. Melody, authority and leadership in a niche.
And you guys all nailed it. I mean, Jonathan, what you just said is what here, let me show you. This is what I had on my slide. So you nailed it already. And this is kind of what I was going to talk about in terms of how brand-led growth is different from product-led growth and sales-led growth. But when we talk about authority or leadership in a niche, that's personal branding specifically versus branding as a whole. And that's actually what we're going to spend most of our time talking about. So I think we're all on the right track. We all understand the importance of branding and how it's different from other approaches. But just in case just to kind of break it down again, having been at these tech companies to see how the approaches are very different. And some of the brands and companies that you might think have a really strong brand are actually product led. And they're not brand led. And it's really interesting to see the impact that that has had on their company and their growth as well. And what we can kind of pull again from all of that into our own companies and our own growth. So sales led, I think that it kind of gives it away. The name itself gives it away. But sales led is when you have a sales team that is driving all of your sales, right? Whether you have a product that you're selling or a service or something else, sales led is primarily when it's all focused on sales. So you'll see companies that rely on big launches, webinars, discounts, coupon codes, and a sales team to bring people into their companies. And that is very, very sales led. Okay. Now that has worked really well for a lot of companies, but I will say that a lot of people that I've talked to, including some very well-known companies that I won't name just because I don't have their permission to say it here. But when you lose your key salesperson, right? When you lose your key sales team or a discount code no longer works and there's another competitor in the market and there's another product that maybe is beating what you're doing, that can get really rocky, right? So that's just something there's no right or wrong answer here. It's just about what resonates with you. And this is a way to help you guys hone in on what it is and identify what it is that you are currently leading with, whether you realize it or not, and to decide for yourself if that is the way you want to continue going in 2026. So sales led again is that, right? Product led is what Jonathan just described, which is your features and functionality, and each launch that you do is what drives the sales, right? People come in because of your product or your offers, features, and functionality. More than this, you might have a sales team, but that's not where most of your sales come in. They come in through word of mouth, through your product. But people aren't talking about your brand just yet. They're talking specifically about the product and the features, right? Now, what this can lead to is high churn. And this is something that I've seen. I've actually talked to some really, really big companies about their software and about the churn numbers that they're seeing. And they're not quite sure why they're seeing those churn numbers. And that's because they were product led and they didn't realize it. Okay. So just something to keep in mind. Now, brand led is where they are. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but just the underlined pieces are where are the focal points here. So if you are building based on an emotional connection, based on your stories and your values, based on your company's mission and vision, and you're focused on building that relationship first before you offer anything, before you talk about features and functionality, that is going to be your brand-led growth strategy, okay? And what that leads to is loyal, sticky customers, okay? Have you kind of identified is that helping you identify where you may be at? I'm curious from all of you here, like drop it in the chat for me. I want to know, are you identifying that you are more sales led, product led, or brand led? And you can just drop S, B, or P and we'll know what that stands for. I'm just curious, like, are most of us more product led, more sales led? Okay.
Looks like it's around a little bit. I see some brands, some sales, education, brand again. Some don't have a brand, they need to work on it, but a fair amount of brand led, some more product led. Good feedback, guys. This is helpful.
Yeah, really cool. Resource led. Okay. Okay, so a lot of brand led. Yeah, that's awesome. So some of the brands, when we think of big brands, we think of some of these, right? Like we think of the brands that are doing really well. And most of us, when we buy from these brands, we're not actually walking in there asking for a discount. We walk in there to buy a little bit of the experience that they have promised through their brand. I mean, think about it. I don't think anyone walks into an Apple store to buy something because they think they're going to get a deep discount on it, right? You walk into an Apple store because you've bought into their whole vision of tech being an extension of your everyday life, right? Most of us go and buy Apple products because of that vision. We buy, I mean, I don't know if there are any Lululemon fans here. I'm one, but we buy those products not because they're the best quality. My husband will tell you all day, every day that they're not worth the price tag, but I buy them because of this vision of me being comfortable and also motivating myself to work out because it really shows your flaws, to be honest. But again, we are buying into this vision of each of these brands, right? So a newer company that's been on the market, and this is something that Jonathan and I were talking very briefly about last week, Jonathan, did you get a chance to watch or listen to the podcast?
I did. That was an amazing podcast and an amazing story that they've went through. I took a lot of lessons out of that.
Yeah, and what we're talking about is the head of growth at Lovable. Her name, I believe, is Elena Verna.
Yeah,
I
I'll
think I got
grab
that
that
right.
podcast link and throw it in the chat. I see a couple people asking, so I'll grab that and throw that in.
Yeah, definitely worth a listen. And there's so many learnings. But one thing that really stood out to me is that she kept saying over and over again, not to use Lovable's growth as a benchmark. Okay, now what is anyone not know who Lovable is? Okay, I see a couple of hands. So Lovable is a vibe coding platform. They launched November 2024, I want to say, if I got that right. So November 2024. Within 8 months, they were at, are you guys ready for this? They were at $100 million in ARR, in annual recurring revenue. 8 months. And 4 months after that, they were at $200 million of ARR. So they doubled in just 4 months. Okay, which I think is amazing. And so again, if you're wondering how they got there, it is definitely worth a listen. Now, a couple of things that she talks about and why she says that shouldn't be a benchmark for any company is because she feels like a lot of that growth was not even in their control. And she talks about how they just happened to launch something and invent a new category at the right time. And they got product market fit like nobody usually does because of the timing and the product itself, right? It was all about the product market fit. And she says over and over again, this is not a benchmark because this is not something that we did intentionally. It just sort of happened. So the good news is we get to just hold on to that growth and make sure that we're not getting in our own way. But the bad news is that we actually don't have control over it. So we don't know if and when this is ever going to suddenly pop, right? The one thing that she does credit, interestingly, and she just kind of throws that in there, the one thing that she does credit a lot of their growth to, which has been in their control and in their power, is how they infuse their brand into every part of the platform, which I thought was really interesting because she just kind of slips it in there and she talks about how she has no background in branding, but having worked at Lovable, she can now safely say that she is a branding expert of sorts. Right. And I thought that was really, really fascinating because so many people find it hard to call themselves branding experts just because the definition of a brand keeps growing and it's nebulous, right? But the fact that she has learned about branding just having worked at a company like Lovable and the way they've grown, and that her crediting that to be one of the only things that were in their control as they've grown like this is something that I think a lot of us can learn from. That being said, how many of you guys are actually vibe coding? Like maybe whether it's Lovable or something else, can you drop a yes or a Y or something? Nathan, I know you vibe code and you've been using Lovable. Okay, Jonathan, you've been as well, starting to, yes. Okay, couple of no's, but a lot of you are already getting your feet wet. Tomorrow. Scott, I like that, tomorrow. Awesome. Okay, so a lot of you are vibe coding, right? Now, one thing that I find a lot of people doing is validating their ideas on ChatGPT and not really building brand first. Does anyone, I don't know if that even makes sense to anyone, but does anyone here out of those of you that just said yes, tell me if you feel like you are building brand first, that you're infusing your brand into all of your vibe coded projects. You know that what you're building is helping people buy into your vision and the way you're going to connect with them versus just something that you think might be cool. Brand first, yes, yes. Okay, some of you are definitely thinking about it, which is awesome. Nathan, for me, I didn't start that way. Well, if you feel like maybe you're not doing it or maybe you didn't start that way, I can tell you that most people don't start that way, right? A lot of us, especially in the marketing world, if you're in the marketing world, a lot of us believe that A/B testing is the way to go to see what lands. But today, with a lot of the AI that is available to us through deep research agents that we can use to understand our market on a deeper level than ever before, knowing how to validate your products and your ideas using deep research, and then using a vibe coding tool that understands your brand and can infuse that brand into every part of what you're building, just like Lovable has, is I think where people are trying to go, but they're not entirely sure how to do that. So that's what we're going to talk about today. All right. But specifically, we're also here to talk about how this all relates to personal branding, right? Not just business branding, which is a different thing, aligned with your personal brand, but personal branding is its own thing. And Google search trends data shows us that in the past couple of years, past 2 years alone, how to build a personal brand, that search term, has actually grown by over 400%. Okay. Which tells me that more and more people are trying to learn how to build a personal brand, because we all know that that is where the future is. And Jonathan and I had a really interesting conversation last year about how, with all of the AI and the automation that's floating around and probably hitting you guys in your feeds, and all the AI clones that are promising to be the tomorrow and your future, how with all of that noise, a lot of us are looking more and more towards authentic brands, and especially when it comes to personal brands, right? Speaking of, I want to ask you guys, how many of you think, and I'm actually going to go back here, how many of you maybe disagree that the employee, the typical employee in any company today, is expendable? Anyone disagree with that?
I'd say I'll disagree with that. No problem.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
I think some are, but I think the difference is it's the employee that doesn't embrace AI that's expendable. The employee that embraces AI, I think, can become a huge asset, even a bigger asset than what they've been historically.
Absolutely. I think a lot of employees can learn the same AI tools though,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Well, and I think AI, as we've talked, Ruheene, it allows us to amplify our employees. So we may be able to scale with fewer employees or scale with lower level employees. We don't necessarily need the same mix that we had in the past with if they're using AI and if we're using AI well.
Yeah, exactly. So employees are expendable if it's just based on the tools that they're using, or if they're just performing repeatable tasks, I think they are largely expendable. Okay. And we're seeing this trend in a lot of the larger companies who are going through layers and layers and layers of huge
Hmm.
layoffs, right? Now, are they doing the right thing? That's a topic for another day, because I have a lot to say about that too. I don't think that's necessarily the way to go, but that is the trend that we're seeing, right? More and more employees are expendable. How many of you feel like founders are expendable specifically, or can be expendable? I'd love to hear what you think about that one too, Jonathan.
Well, I think a lot of it depends on the founder and themselves. I mean, we still need the ideas, we still need the innovation. And in many cases, that's what founders are bringing to the table. When a founder is purely just technically proficient, again, I still don't think that they're expendable, but I think that AI can take over aspects of what they do. AI takes over parts of what I do. I don't, but the difference is I don't work any less as a founder. I now can get more done as a result of it. And I suppose it depends on how the founder wants to look. Do they want to get more done, add more value, or are they looking to do what they used to do? And my opinion there would be if the founder wants to do what they've always done, they are going to become expendable, not because of AI, but because they didn't leverage it, because the founders that are successful are going to use it to amplify what they do. Again, getting back to that word amplify that you and I have spoke about, I think that's really so key there.
Yes, absolutely. 100% agree. And a lot of investors are also looking to invest in founders, right? They don't want to know that you just have an amazing idea or an amazing product. They want to know why you are uniquely positioned to do or offer or build whatever it is that you're offering or building, right? And as an example to drive this home, this is the name that I'd pulled up. Now, if you've been to one of my presentations before, you're not allowed to answer this question, but how many of you know who this is? Martin Eberhard. Anyone ever hear this name before? Nathan's like, only from you, because you've heard me talk about this. Okay, most of you haven't. Yes, Chris, we have one more who actually knows who Martin Eberhard is. He's the original founder of Tesla. Okay. Not just that, he's actually the inventor of the high density lithium ion battery technology that powers not just Tesla, but every electric car on the market today. But who do we think of when we think of this stuff? It isn't this guy. It isn't Martin, right? Who do we think of? I'm waiting for the chat.
I
Elon.
say Elon. There we go. Yep.
Yeah, the other man. Exactly. So we don't think of Martin, we think of Elon, right? And there's a lot that happened in that story and how this happened. But the gist of it, the very short, concise version of it is that when Martin created all this and he launched Tesla, he was looking for investors to come in and help him grow the brand, right? And so, but he didn't have a personal brand of his own. Nobody knew who he was, but Tesla was starting to gain a name already. So when Elon Musk came in, he saw the opportunity, which was that he could make Tesla really, really big, but he didn't need Martin Eberhard in it. Okay. So Martin was replaced, even with all of his intelligence and the creativity and everything that he brought to the market, he was replaced real fast. Okay. And why am I telling you this? Not to tell you that whether you're a founder or an employee, you are expendable. That's actually not what I'm trying to say at all. Right? It is that if you have a personal brand, you are not expendable. Nobody can replace you. No AI clone can replace you. No one can take credit for things that you have done if you have a personal brand. Agree?
100%. I'd say
Awesome.
I love it because I've been saying for years, I think the personal brand is more important in 25 and now in 26 than it has ever been in history.
100%. And even more, I'm going to say this, being a branding person for most of my career, even more than a business brand right now. So if you feel like you have neither at this moment and you're wondering where to start, which is a question I actually get a lot of, my answer to you would be focus on your personal brand first. Okay. Now, a lot of people are trying to come up with a logo for their personal brand and all of these things. So I just want to set the record straight that they're two very different things. Okay. Your business brand is your logo, your colors, your messaging, your customer avatar journey, your market positioning, and how your offers connect with that broader brand vision. Again, think Apple, right? How every offer, every product that they put on the market, they may not be the best product in terms of features and functionality, but it has always got the biggest market share simply because of the brand behind it, right? Now your personal brand is different. They're connected, but they're different, right? Your personal branding is all about you. It's about your story, your expertise, your unique perspective on things, right? And your credibility and your relatability. Just saying I've spent 30 years doing marketing no longer makes you an expert, unfortunately. You have to have a brand that stands out. You have to have a vision that stands out from all the other experts saying all the same things. What is it that you believe in based on your specific experiences, right? And there are tools to do all of this now, by the way. So personal branding is exploding. It's gone up by over 400% because trust in companies is going down with all the AI and automation. Again, this is a lot of the stuff that Jonathan and I were discussing last year. We're seeing so many people talking about AI clones replacing them. And the one thing that both of us agreed on was that the people who are really going to win are the ones who are not trying to replace themselves with AI clones and avatars. It is the people who are trying to use AI not to replace them, but to amplify their actual authentic views and themselves. Okay. Personal brands are the new moat. Okay. And so I don't want you to be any one of these people that is losing money. Okay. Because branding again sounds like this, my story, my expertise, my goals, but it's really costing you money if you're not actively building one. All right. So how do we build one? Let's dive into how we build one. And Jonathan, I'd love for you to tell me if you have done this maybe a different way, because I see a lot of people building personal brands in different ways. And I've tried to come up with a way that is easy to understand and actually break down for someone who is maybe just starting out. And the way I divide that is into the assets that you build for your personal brand and then the ongoing flywheel.
Love everything you've got on here, and it really mimics a lot of what I did along the way. It's one of the things I've loved about our discussion so far is, even though you and I just met 6 months ago, a lot of the things that you're doing through Brandpod and everything else just absolutely match the way that I've built things, and therefore at least I know that works. And so yeah, I would agree with everything you have on here. I love how you broke it up between the assets and the flywheel, because you need those assets. You need to know where you stand on those things so that you can then use the flywheel effectively.
Yep, exactly. So if you're diving into creating your content without understanding what it is that you stand for, what makes you different in your market, then you might be using, generic ChatGPT generated content that is going to sound the same as everyone else. So before you build out your flywheel through content, through appearances, through podcast speaking opportunities, and really amplifying who you are and what you stand for, you want to make sure that you have a few things figured out first, a few assets figured out first, right? So let's talk about this first one, this personal story. And we are, by the way, stick around till the end because I'm going to show you how these things work, because I think it's really important to understand how these pieces work before just jumping into using AI. But right at the end, we're also going to talk about like how AI can do a lot of this for you. Okay. So your personal story, again, I've dissected what a lot of people have as their personal story and really come up with these 4 key elements of it. Okay. And this doesn't mean a story like I had to do this and then I went to do that. And like, I had this like earth-shattering experience. It doesn't have to be an earth-shattering experience. A story just means your collective experiences that make you uniquely positioned to talk about whatever you want to talk about today, but also B, relatable to your target audience, right? What makes you more human? What makes you relatable to people who want to buy from authentic founders today? So what do you know that your industry gets wrong? There has to be something, because we are all very individual people. And I think a lot of people try and say what everyone else is saying just to kind of not stand out. But that's what you need to embrace. You need to embrace what is it that you see that your market is searching for, and what is everyone else telling them to do, which is clearly not working because it's still a problem and people are still searching for a solution. So what can you provide to fill that gap with what it is that you know specific to your experiences? Okay. What happened? What are these experiences that taught you what you know? What are you standing against? Like, what do you see a lot of other people, and they might be bigger personal brands, they might be bigger people who have a bigger name right now who are talking about something, but through your experience that it's not going to get people to where they want to be. Okay. What is that broken system that you stand against? And what is the transformation? What is that change that you can create through your experiences, through what it is that you know that nobody else knows the way you do, in order to facilitate that change? And this is the hardest part of the process, I will say. This takes some self-reflection. This takes some workshopping. This takes some thought into what it is that you stand for and against. All right. So if you've heard of positioning statements that talk about like, just write down, I help X achieve Y so that Z statements, those things are no longer working. Those positioning statements no longer work. If you say that at a party, I can guarantee you that the other person is probably zoned out as soon as you say the first couple of words, right? You really want to talk about like a myth that's out there, call something out, get their attention, and then talk about what it is that you know, right? When I see or hear I help, I totally tune out. It's true. We all tune out because we hear so many people saying that. None of us really care about who you help, or unless you can grab my attention with what we call a hook. But really, how do you do that in personal branding? It's all about what it is that is out there that you stand against. And something that I will say that I stand against, even with all the big names that are saying it, is that an AI clone is just a temporary fix. It's not going to get you the kind of personal brand that is going to win people's trust in you in the long term. That's just from what I've seen over the years. And Jonathan, I'd love to hear if you agree with that or not.
No, we're spot on. I'm with you 100% as we go through that. I'm just excited to dive in and show them the app, because I think, of course, me and my ADHD, I'm like, I want to see it. I want to see it. I have seen it, guys. I've used it. It's amazing. But no, Ruheen's absolutely. I agree with everything you're saying here, Ruheen.
Awesome. So let's dive into the app then. Let's talk about how we can do these things. So when we talked about personal assets and we talked about the flywheel, this is what I wanted to show you. So you can, with AI and with all the tools out there, and specifically the tool that I'm going to show you, you can vibe code a lot of your personal assets now. Keep them on brand. Make sure that they are validated based on data and not like something that ChatGPT hallucinated and told you was a great idea, right? And the flywheel are where the deep research agents come in, and that's what we're going to look at. So let's exit out of this. Let me know if you can still see my screen, because I went from full screen to a tab. Awesome, thank you. So this is kind of how I do it now, just in terms of systematizing all the different things we talked about. There are people out there who will say that they use, and actually, Jonathan, I know you use a few of these tools as well, but there are people who are very successfully using tools like Manus and Lovable and Replit to do a lot of these things, to do the deep research and then to do the vibe coding. Okay. We just put all of them into one platform, so they're all accessible. And so everything you build and vibe code is on brand and validated by data by default. Okay. So let's talk about the personal brand assets first. We talked about a website. We talked about your keynote. We talked about building what I call brand magnets, which are lead magnets. But when you are on stage, where you're on a podcast, you will often get invited to share something that is free, something like a QR code that people can take away and start doing or implementing immediately, right? And so when you build a lead magnet that is specifically designed to bring people into your world through whatever it is that you're talking about on your personal branding side and link that and link them to your business offers, that's just what I personally call the brand magnet. Okay. So if you go into vibe code, so first of all, let me just talk about, if we're going to give you guys a QR code at the end of this to play with this for absolutely free. You're going to be able to play
I didn't know that.
Well, I had to do something for you, Jonathan.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. That's guys, you're going to love this. I've been playing around with this for the last few weeks, and Ruheen's been talking to me about this for months. This is really a cool app. Sorry, I don't mean to step on your toes, Ruheene. Go ahead. You show it. I'll stop gloating.
Totally fine. So when you sign up, it's going to take you through a series of questions, right? And this is, again, to unearth that story and everything that we talked about. So again, you can use AI to do a lot of this. When you go in here, you're going to be able to, you'll see a screen that looks like this. You can actually use a custom GPT.
This is Donna.
Hey, Donna, it's Donna. Girl, you don't have to.
Sorry about that. We're trying to get her muted. There we go. Sorry, Ruheene.
No worries. So you're going to be able to use this custom GPT that I built to get all of those four things, those four elements of your story out. Okay. And you'll be able to just plug it into the system and let the research agents take that story from you and do all the research for you. And we're going to talk about what that actually means in a second. Okay. So let's talk about the asset building first. So once you have your story dialed in, that's the very first piece, right? You have that dialed in, you have your deep research agents going and finding out based on what you told it about your story, about your market, about your audience, what are their search terms, what is your unique positioning in the market, and how you can use that to find the right podcasts and stages to amplify your message on. Okay, but while it's doing that, now we can come in. And I've actually gone into my settings here and I've added in, again, this is my personal brand. This is not my actual platform or anything like that. In case you haven't noticed, I like pink. So I put pink in. Again, these are just my personal brand colors. I put in some of my settings. I prefer light mode, even though this whole platform is in dark mode right now. And some things about like what kind of look and feel I like. Okay. And the reason I do this in my settings is because, again, we can go and vibe code our brand personal brand website. We can vibe code our brand magnets or lead magnets, whatever you want to call them. And they will out of the box be on brand in terms of the look and feel that I'm going for, and will have my messaging infused in it. Okay. So if you go in here, you'll actually be able to build a lot of these things out. Now, these two, the Keynote Builder and Micro SaaS apps, are actually coming, but what's live in the platform already is building your personal brand website and brand magnets. So let's show you how those things work. I've already created my personal brand website in here, but I haven't actually edited it at all. So I just want to show you out of the box what it did for me. I also have a media library where I've uploaded my images. And so I just told it, put in my images, and it just asked me which ones. And that's the only editing I did in this, is pick the images that I wanted in here. But because it already knows, again, my brand is not just my colors and the light mode and the pink that it got right here, it's my messaging. It's taken all of that, right, from the story that I fed it in the survey, and it's put it into the messaging for my personal brand website. There's a question here. I have no idea what about vibe coding. Is that important to use the app? No, not at all. And I can show you how, like, you basically just come in here and it will build it for you. You don't need any prompts or anything. Usually other vibe coding platforms, you'll need a prompt to start with. We've designed this so that it already has, so a prompt is more context than it is anything else. And again, Jonathan, I'd love for you to jump in here and talk about what a prompt means to you, because I see a lot of people copying and pasting prompts, thinking it's the structure of the prompt that is the most important thing. But really, it's the context that you're asking for, right?
It's the prompt's just part of how we're communicating with it. So what's so cool about the platform that Ruheen's showing us, and vibe coding is just part of it. I mean, there's so much more that can be done that she'll explain far better than I will. But all of this, everything that Ruheen's showing you here, the key is that you don't necessarily have to remember the perfect prompt. You don't have to try to keep this massive library. Ruheen will be able to show you how literally you're able to walk through the interface, and it's going to interview you. It's going to ask you questions. And then most importantly to me, and I don't know about you, Ruheen, but it keeps all of that information. So now it has it as you dig in, whether I'm looking for podcasts or I'm writing content or I need to build a website or any of the branding items we're talking about, it now has all of that there. And it's you because it's interviewed you in the process. By the way, guys, I don't have any ownership in Brandpod. This is totally Ruheen's deal, but I have really been impressed with it. And again, I think it's a tool I'm excited that I'm using. I'm excited to share it with you guys. If it's not a good fit, that's perfectly fine. But much like ZimmWriter, another tool that I recommend and stuff, this is really just taking things to another level with AI and made AI that much easier to use.
Yeah, we're just trying to pull all the pieces in to simplify things, but it's definitely not the only tool in the market where you can do this stuff. And I'll be the first one to say it. But just for anyone worried about your technical skills, my 8-year-old did this. She has no idea what vibe coding even means. She doesn't even know what coding means. She doesn't know what a prompt is. She barely knows what AI is, and that's just because her dad and I talk about it at home. But my 8-year-old wanted a Brandpod account, and she went in and set this up. She loved the GPT because she got to talk about her story and how she felt like she wasn't creative because someone told her that her drawing sucked, and how she came back from that, right? And she went into the vibe coder and she built this literally just by saying, "I need a personal brand website." There was no prompt involved, and this is what it built for her. Now her colors are purple, but you can see that it actually took her whole story and weaved that into the website. So again, showing you this only to say you don't need to know any technical stuff. You don't need to know how to prompt or nothing to be able to use this. Okay. And she actually wants to get on stages, so book me to speak, and some of her speaking topics are here too. Embrace the mess, the talent lie, crumpled paper, which is my personal favorite, and permission to try, since that's what she talks about. She talks about everyone is creative, whether you realize it or not, and how do you use that to build self-confidence. All right, okay, but back to the platform. So again, you don't need any technical expertise at all. You'll be able to just feed it your story, and the agents and everything on the back end will do the work for you. I'm going to show you how you can do this for a lead magnet, because there are a few more steps. So website, you just come in here, it will just build it for you. And then you can come in here and tell it like, "Oh, can you change this button to do something else," or whatever, right? You can come here, just use normal English language, like you're telling an assistant to do something or your web developer to do something. You can just use plain English and it will do it for you. Okay. Okay, so going back into, let's just go back in here. Let me show you how you can build what we call a brand magnet, which is again just a lead magnet. Now, typically, what I've seen people do is they will go to ChatGPT or a custom GPT to validate their idea and come up with what is called a PRD. Now, don't let that scare you. That just means product requirement document. And that's the technical part of what you want to build that has to get built into your prompt in order to get started with some of the other vibe coding tools on the market, like Lovable and Replit. And they're really, really powerful, but you need to have a validated idea and your PRD or your prompt to start with, okay? Those things are all built in here. So based on the research that my agents did for me, and it automatically triggers every week, I don't have to come and tell it to go and do any research for me. It does this for me every week and lets me know when there's updated data in my account. So based on what my audience's actual search terms are, it's told me what matches my expertise and what kind of brand magnets I could be building based on what I want to speak about, what I do speak about, what my market positioning is, and again, what my audience's search terms are. So right out of the box, I can pick one of these ideas. They're pre-validated, or I can start with a brand new idea that I have in my head, okay? So just to kind of demonstrate this, I'm gonna pick one of these ideas. Let's just go with the first one. Now is where it's gonna walk me through this. This is the kind of stuff that you usually wanna build into your vibe coding prompt. But again, this is designed to be something that anyone can use without any technical skills at all. And so it is walking you through. It's something that we call the wizard that is built in, and it's walking you through what you need to answer so it can build that into the prompt for you on the back end. Can I zoom in? Yeah. 1 second, let me try and zoom in so that it's bigger. Is that better?
Yeah, that made it bigger. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I keep
No, it's
forgetting
all
because I
right.
have such
The
a huge
the
screen.
joys of Zoom sharing.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep forgetting that my screen is probably really tiny. Okay, so where are we? Okay, so it said this is what I've selected based on the strategy. So right now we are building more micro SaaS capabilities and other capabilities into it. We just launched this early last week. So it is limited to these types, which are the most popular kinds of lead magnets, but you can see where we're going with this as well and what you can build today. So it's telling me it would work best as a calculator, or do I want to change the format? But let's just, and I can speak into this as well, but let's say calculator, right? Let's build a calculator. Okay, I'm gonna submit that. All right, so now it's getting to work. It is, and this is going to take a few seconds each time because again, keep in mind that it's building the prompt on the back end, okay? And it's already found, again, it already knows everything about my brand. It knows about my offers. It knows about what I talk about. So it's found my signature offer, which in this case is Brandpod, but it's asking me how would I like to use it in this calculator, okay? Do I want it to be a CTA at the end? Do I want it to just drive the questions but not have a CTA? A CTA is a call to action, right? Do I want both? Or do I just want it to be a standalone thing that has nothing to do? So if you're doing this as a proof of concept for a client, for example, you can always choose this option and not have it tied to your offers, okay? So, and it's got my offer details here. So if I do want to switch this to a different offer or lead this to something else, I could just change that out here, okay? So in this case, let's keep it as both, okay? And I'm going to continue. Okay, so now it's reiterating what it has understood before it goes out and starts building the whole thing, right? So that it can make sure that the prompt it's creating for me is actually spot on. Okay, so it's telling me that this is the journey that it's creating for my user of this brand magnet, right? It's going to walk them through the inputs. It's going to give them some instant value along the way. And this is just built in. So if you wanted to change anything and you're like, no, don't give any instant value for whatever reason, you just want to go through the questions, you can do that. But I'll show you what instant value means. Okay. It's going to capture their email because it is a lead magnet, right? And it's going to bridge to my offer because I said I want there to be a CTA at the end. Okay. So ready to proceed, or tell me what else you want, right? I'm going to say, go ahead and build this. I can literally just type in yes. I'm just trying to show off the, the voice input feature. But this is where, okay, one last question. So for those of you that know what a webhook is, okay, don't let this throw you off if you are non-technical and you're not sure what a webhook is. Most people will get tripped up here. I see some really fancy prompts out there for how to, connect your lead magnets if you're vibe coding them into something like high level, which is what we use on the back end, but really whatever CRM or whatever email marketing system you use on the back end, a lot of people will get stuck on this step and look for the perfect prompt to tell the AI. Again, that prompt is already built into the back end. So if you have a webhook, it's just a URL that you get from your email system. You can plop that in here. If you don't have it, you just build it without it. Okay, but that's how simple it is. So I'm going to keep this empty for now, just blank, just because I'm demoing the actual build for you. But normally if I was actually building this and I wanted to launch it, I would put a webhook in there. All right, so now it's going ahead and building it. And this is where the most time consuming part is, because again, it's putting together the whole prompt for me. It's putting in all the technical requirements. And it's building the whole prompt for me and then actually building it out for me. And then I can vibe code it, which simply just means I can tell it to change this, that, or the other to make it perfect for what I want it to be. It's also pulling in my brand styling and my colors and everything. So it's making everything very on brand just out of the box. Any questions? Or Jonathan, you want to say something while we're waiting for this thing to do its thing?
I mean, talk a little bit to me, if you would, Ruheene, and remind everybody the setup process. So you talked briefly, when people log in, it's going to go through an interview process and that type of stuff. I'd love to just really double down and help everybody understand how once that's done, that's so much of the heavy lifting. And really, there's two things I think Brandpod is doing. One is it's actually helping you figure out what you need to know. So instead of us and hoping we're getting it right, you've trained it on all of your experience and all of your knowledge and put all that together in a way that it makes sense. And Kunal's helped brought all that together for you. Then So that saves a ton of time and a ton of stress because I don't need to wonder about what to do. Brandpod's going to ask me those questions, and then it has those questions. So whether I'm interested in building out a website through vibe coding, whether I'm looking for podcasts through podcast search, whether I'm trying to create content and really understand my audience so I can create the content that's going to appeal to them, Brandpod has all of that available to me on an ongoing basis. So it's almost like having this marketing branding expert, and probably branding expert, that's sitting here at my desk with me, that at any point in time, that first day I hire them, they ask me a bunch of questions, and then from then on out, they never forget, and they're there to help guide me through all of these different branding things that are there. While this is thinking, can you maybe go through a list of just kind of a bullet list of some of the branded services that this provides?
Yeah, and if actually that's a great point. So if any of you have actually worked with a marketing agency or specialist or a branding specialist, have you has anyone done that actually here? I'm just curious if you've ever worked with an agency or a specialist to do this. Nobody? Okay, so okay, you've worked with an agency. Dean says agency. So what you'll see is that everyone from a copywriter to a branding agency to a marketing agency, they're going to send you a type form or a Google form to answer a lot of questions first. They cannot build you a brand without really digging deep into, again, all the things we just talked about. So regardless of whether you throw money at the problem and go to somebody who's going to just do this all for you, or use the tools that are available to you and you can literally just do this yourself, you're going to have to do this pre-work, the story and the digging deep all by yourself. It doesn't matter who you hire to do it for you, right? Because they just can't invent a story for you or your experiences for you. So that digging is still going to happen. We're just letting you use AI to do the rest of what they do with that story, because the heaviest lift, again, I said this earlier and I'm going to say it again, your heaviest lift, people think it's the actual brand building. It's really not. That's an ongoing thing. And once you have a system for it, it becomes second nature. It's really digging into your own stories, into your own experiences to uncover what it is that you stand for, right? I extract the expertise via video call. Yeah, we're going to be doing that through a podcast thing too. And that's actually where we're evolving this. Right now, it's just a custom GPT. So once you sign up for this, if you decide to try this out, you'll see a button that says use custom GPT, or just, let's go just means you're just going to answer each question like you would on a type form. So if you open the custom GPT, it's going to take you 20, 30. I've heard some people take like 45 minutes on this, because it really digs deep into what it is that drives you and motivates you into doing what you do today. And I think just this exercise alone is really, really beneficial if you're not quite sure what your story is. Okay. Once you have your story, it's going to give it to you in a format that you can plug into the system. That's what it's designed for. It's designed specifically to give you the answers that you can plug into the system. But some of the questions it's looking for answers to is, what is the one thing you want to be known for right now, right? You can also use the voice to the input to go through this faster than if you had to type everything out. So what's an unpopular opinion you hold about your industry? Right? You want to really, again, these are all the things we just talked about, nothing outside of that. What are the events or experiences that led to this opinion? Okay, that's exactly what the custom GPT is going to help you figure out if you're not quite clear. Who do you like to work with? So this is your target audience, right? What do you wish you could tell everyone in your industry? And by the way, if you want to see like a list of all the questions, or you prefer like a Google Doc where you can answer this and then upload it, you can do that as well. So if you click on the template, it'll take you to our Google Doc where all of these questions are literally laid out. So multiple ways where you can get started with this. I don't know if you heard that little sound, but that sound just means that my lead magnet, my brand magnet is done building. So we can go back to that as well. So let's do that, but hopefully this gives you a really clear idea of what you're going to be answering, right? What is the worst advice? What is your signature offer? So this is what I was pulling into that part where I was getting started with vibe coding my brand magnet. It was pulling in from there. And this is where it's going to ask you for your goals. Would you like to speak on stages? Have you spoken on any so far? Which ones have you spoken on? Same for podcasts, same for publications. Let's cancel out of this and go back to see what it created for us. Here. It's just reconnecting to the AI because we navigated away, but now it's going to show me what it built for me. And again, you're going to see this might just look very monotonous to you, but again, it's using exactly what I've asked it to use in my settings. If you like dark mode and you like a lot of gradients and you like a lot of different colors, you can put all of that in there and it will pull that into everything that it builds for you. That being said, again, if I'm doing this for a client and I don't want this to be on my brand and I don't want it to be all pink and white, I can always come in here and tell it to change that. And what we're also working on releasing by tomorrow is a way to go into the CSS. So like a visual editor, you'll be able to select any of these elements and just tell it what font to change it to or what color to change it to. Okay, so again, different ways to build out these things. And once you're done, you can literally just deploy it to production. I can just tell it to deploy it and it'll give me a published link that I can then embed in, let's say, my keynote slides. Or figure out where else I want to give it away. So let's say I'm getting invited to interview on a podcast, I can give that away there. Okay, it's just an easy way to build something that's out of the box on brand and pull people into my world. Okay. So right now it also builds out your keynote slides and all of that. So once you're at a stage where you're getting on stages and you want to build out like a keynote, a signature keynote, and then any keynotes beyond that, you'll be able to do that in the platform as well. Okay. Can the background gathering include a video interview I did with a local TV station? Yeah, Scott, you should be able to do that. In the settings, there is a media library. Right now, I only have images in here, but you'll be able to upload any videos here as well. And then you can ask the vibe coder tools, whether it's your website or whether it's a lead magnet builder or a brand magnet builder, you'll be able to say, pull up my media library or bring in a video and it'll pull up this view into the vibe coder view, and then you can select whichever one you want to add in. Okay, hopefully that made sense. Let me know if you need me to show anything, but I'm trying to like show you the magic of all the pieces and how they all connect. So those are about your assets, right? About building out your story, plugging that into the system so the system knows exactly who you are, what you stand for, who your target audience is. And then let's talk quickly about the flywheel, because once you build these assets out, yes, you can come in and update these assets or build new assets as needed, but really the magic then happens in the flywheel. And I think, Jonathan, you might be able to attest to this as well. It's the ongoing flywheel with the stages that you get on, I don't know if you still do podcasts, right?
Yep.
And the content that you put out.
Absolutely. No, that's what's so cool, because you're setting everything up to make this part of it, that flywheel part, so much easier to accomplish.
Yeah, and so this is the flywheel part. Now I'm going to actually zoom out a little bit here just so you can see the whole thing. But this is really what this is meant to be, is all the pieces of your flywheel. So whenever you come in here, you'll be able to see which of these have been updated, right? And so it all depends on your goals. If your goal right now is to just make sure that your content is resonating with your audience better, and you want to make sure that you're putting out content that is actually going to be valuable to your audience and not just some regurgitated AI or ChatGPT content, you would do that by going into the content agent. And here it's going to give you all the data on your audience. Again, this is something it does automatically depending on the account that you have. It'll either do this research again on its own, either weekly or monthly, and it'll tell you what kind of things your audience is searching for as it relates to your brand. Okay, so it's not going to show me whether people are looking for the latest iPhone, but it is going to show me what they're actually searching for when it comes to personal branding, since that is what I'm talking about these days, right? So some of these are not going to make a lot of sense to me. So founder, lack of trust, solutions, Reddit, right? These are actual search terms. So some of them may actually not work for me. So branding agency in Vancouver, I'm not in Vancouver, but you're going to find how to build trust and credibility with customers. This one, right? That is a really, really good topic for me to write on. So I can go in here and say, write for me. It's going to take me into the content agent workflow. Here I can figure out, like, do I want to do a blog post? Do I want to do Facebook post, social media post, an email newsletter? And I can have it do all of this in one sitting. It can just create all of this. Now, Jonathan, something that you and I again talked about in Dallas last year is the power bulk create content. So something that, Jonathan, you mentioned to me was you like to go to these events and you like to take down like certain ideas, or something will come up and you want to create content on that topic on your phone, and you don't necessarily want to sit there and baby it while it creates that content for you. You just want to give it that idea and go let it do its thing.
Exactly.
So we've been building a solution for that. Unfortunately, it wasn't ready to go today because we're still testing it on the back end, but we are releasing it by the end of the week.
You guys keep adding new stuff. I love this.
We have a...
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. That's so cool. You guys keep adding new stuff. This is neat.
Yeah, we are constantly building based on the feedback that we get from our users. So if there's something where people are always excited about building out their brands in this way, and then we see a lot of ideas come from our users. So we're constantly building in everything that we're asked to as it relates to keeping things on brand for you. But yeah, once that's available, you'll be able to just add in an idea and then have it. It will take longer. It can take a few hours versus having it all do it in minutes here. But the good news is once you have your Google account connected, which you can do in your settings, you'll go into integrations and make sure your Google Drive is connected. And then if you're on the go and you take out your phone, you open up the app and you're like, this is the topic I want to create like 100 pieces of content on. You can submit that. The app doesn't have to be open on your phone or anything like that. Once it's done, it'll just create it for you and save it in your Google Drive. So that's about the content stuff. And one of my favorite things is what I've left for the very last. So this is how I'm going to leave you guys in terms of how you can get featured and figure out which stages to be on and which podcasts to be on. If you go into, let's say, podcasts, actually, let's go to the events one. This is how it works, the same for podcasts and publications as well. But let's say you want to know what events are coming up in your niche where you should either attend or you want to start pitching yourself to speak at these events. Okay, apart from having your signature keynote and all that built and vibe coded into the app, it's going to tell you based on the events that are coming up and what they're looking for in speakers. It's going to show you what are some good speaking topics for you specifically and for your brand. Okay, you can expand these. It'll show you exactly, this is the kind of stuff that's going to go on your speaker kit if you decide to create one. So a lot of like, again, when you get to that point, I know a lot of you are probably not at that point where you want to be on stages or are on stages, but just to show you the power of the platform, it grows with you as you grow through your content, through maybe some podcast features as you're getting started. It's going to grow with you and support your goals as you grow, right? Now it's going to show me under all events. It's actually going to show me all the events that are coming up in my niche, again, based on what I've told it that I'm interested in, what kind of events I'm interested in. So funny enough, because I've told it that I do a lot in the high level world, it's showing me Level Up 2026 as the #1 fit and the #1 biggest event I should be looking at. I was fortunate enough to speak at both Level Up 2024 and 2025. So it knows that, and it's already showing me the next one because it feels like that's the biggest match, the best match. But it's also showing me some other ones, right? AI for Leaders, Practical Founders Summit. And so if AI plus I don't even know actually what that is, but if I wanted to find out more, I can expand it. It's going to show me what the topics are for this event. Okay, it's going to show me what my outreach strategy is. It's going to link me to the best way for me to reach out to the event host. So that could be a form on the website. It could be an email contact if it's been able to find it on the website. So these research agents really go and scour the internet to and scrape hundreds of thousands of URLs to find all this information for you every single week. So that's the power of the research agents, right? It's going to tell you what your audience is searching for so you can create content that is actually answering what your audience is searching for in LLMs, not just on Google, right? But it's also showing you the events and the podcasts and how you can get on there. It will help you write an actual pitch as well. So if I say I want to send them an email, it's going to ask me, do I want to track this in accounts in my pipeline? And if I say start tracking, it'll ask me, what details I want to fill out. What is this opportunity about in my system? Once I save it, now it's going to ask me which of my signature keynotes do I want to use in order to reach out to this event host. So let's say I want to talk about AI agents for personal branding. It's already picked up my brand voice, which you'll do when you create content as well. And now it'll write a very personalized pitch for me. And the way it writes these pitches is not what ChatGPT does, which is just take I met a podcast host at Level Up last year, and it was very interesting what he said. He said whenever he opens his inbox, he always sees these ChatGPT pitches in his inbox. And he can tell that they're ChatGPT written because they all sound so similar to each other, right? It doesn't really feel like whoever's reaching out has done the work of going through their past events, going through what their event is truly about and what they're actively searching for. And that's what these deep research agents do. It actually puts in, this is what I've seen that you do. This is where the gap is that I see that I think would be really valuable to your audience. This is how I know what I know and where I've learned it. This is what my presentation is about. And as the creator, I need to update this. So we were called Brandify, and I haven't done a good job of updating my own account here. We're called Brandpod now. But as the creator of this is what I have. I have a proven process for this. This is also where I've been able to speak before. And, please basically consider my topic. And you can edit this before you send it out. One thing to note is that we don't have an email system in the platform just yet, but that is one of our Q1 roadmap items where you're going to be able to send these emails, send follow-ups that the system generates for you. It's going to tell you when's a good time to follow up, what the follow-up should look like, and you can edit it before you send it out. And it's all going to happen in the system. But for now, you would just copy and paste it into wherever you're sending your emails from. Allison, what happens if we are just starting out and don't have much history to upload? You don't have to upload a lot of history. You just want to work on your story. Once you have your story, that's all you upload into the system, right? So we've all been through certain experiences, whether they're personal experiences or work experiences. You have something that you feel passionately about that's brought you to wherever you are today. And that's really all we're trying to uncover. Once you put that into the system, the agents do all the rest of the work for you. And if you are just starting out and if your question is more about how do I get on stages, again, Jonathan would be a great person to answer this. My personal recommendation would be to start smaller. So start with podcasts, start with content.
No, I agree with you. You want to get on stages, start doing podcasts. Everybody wants podcast guests, and every bit of content that you get out there, whether it's with a big podcast or somebody brand new, it's more third-party validation of what you do. And if you get out there and you do a good job, you're well-spoken and you have good expertise on that podcast, people will start reaching out and wanting you to be on their stages. And that's what's so cool about some of the features that are here is it helps you get to those podcasts as well as get to some of those stages.
Exactly. So it's gonna, I don't know why this isn't clicking right now, but yeah, it's gonna, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying back to Allison's question. Allison, remember, we all started off with nothing. Every single one of us. Allison, you may not have heard me tell the story, but back in August of 2023, nobody knew that Jonathan, me, knew anything about AI whatsoever. And yet by going out and following the path that Ruheen's talked about here, where you're creating those digital assets and then you're using that flywheel to go out, getting on the podcast, publishing content, sharing, adding value. Literally within 6 months, I was getting invited to travel across the United States to go speak at events and things like that. It may or may not happen that quickly for you, but we all started with no place with nothing. I mean, we had to build it from somewhere. So you're not alone in that.
Yeah, and you can start small. So we have Nathan here, who's also in the chat here, and he is also he's got a lot of expertise, domain expertise, and everything he does, and he's amazing with sales. But his personal brand is something that he's just started to pay attention to. So he used the system. I think within just a couple of weeks or something, he landed his first 2 podcasts through his content, not through pitches, I believe, right, Nathan? I think it was through your content that you were creating in Brandpod. And you also created your blog while you were on this webinar. So I love it. It was through content. Yeah. So there's different ways, right? Your content will land you on the right stages and the right podcasts. But it's also if you want to just have that system go faster. I heard someone say recently, it wasn't mine, so I don't want to steal it as my thing to say. But this girl said, stop waiting in 2026. Stop waiting to be chosen. Choose yourself. And I really like that because I think it's the action takers who are really going to start being able to build that personal brand. And instead of waiting around to be chosen, you will get chosen. If you're putting good quality content out there that's actually serving a market need, you will get noticed, right? But apart from that, don't just wait for someone to pick you, you will get picked. But if you know you want to be on podcasts, you want to be on stages, or I just spoke with someone last week who said, I actually don't want to be on podcasts and stages, but I do want to get featured in third-party publications because I like to write, right? So the system will help you do that as well. So if whatever your goals are, you just want to make sure that you are being thoughtful about what you're putting out into the world. And that's how that whole thing starts. The whole flywheel starts. All right. So with that, hopefully, I don't want to blow your minds too much and give you too much to process, but are there any questions about how this helps you build out your personal brand assets and also gets your flywheel going?
Anybody got any questions? If you want to raise your hand, we can call you up on screen, or you can put it in the chat and we'll try to watch either way for things. Anybody got any questions at all for Ruheene? or for me for that matter, but Ruheen's better to answer most of these than I am.
All right. Well, hopefully everyone's just soaking it in. I'd
So
love to
people want
have
to have you
Ruheene
on their
on.
podcast. There you go. See, you do webinars like this, and then you get invited on more podcasts. I love it. I love it. I did just put a link in case anybody's looking for it for the replay document that'll have everything in it. Corey's got a question though for us. Corey, what's on your mind?
Hey, Rain, this has been amazing.
Thank you.
So this is exactly what I'm working on, but I'm fragmented on how to do it. So I own an insulation business that my goal is to have it running pretty much by itself by the end of 2026. I'm also working on a thing called Brave Build that's taking my experiences and what I've learned over a bunch of different, over owning a business for 18 years and helping other blue collar small businesses level up. So do I do this? Do I set up different brand pods for each of those ideas, or do I build a personal brand?
So what did you say your goal was? You said you have an insulation company. What are you trying to launch this year
Yes,
in 2026 exactly?
I'm I'm the owner of it and I do
Yeah.
sales at this point, but I want the business to be pretty much self-sustaining and self-running by the end of 26.
Okay.
But in order to do that, there's a bunch of content that I'm seeing that I need to be putting out and things like that.
So this is specifically for your personal brand, right? And no matter how many businesses you have, how many offers you have, if you're focusing on your personal brand, this is meant to be one pod for your personal brand. And you monetize your personal brand by bringing people into your offers. Once you build that relationship with them, you show them what you stand for, how your stories have brought you to where you are, what it is that you can do to help people and fix their problems, then you pull them into how they can pay to work with you, right? That's how you monetize
Okay.
your personal brand. So in terms of how many pods you need, if you're just starting with your personal brand, which is what I recommend doing, you just need one account, one pod, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Right? When you're ready to start putting out, like when you have multiple keynotes and you're doing multiple things and you're bringing in people from multiple places, you don't need multiple pods. You just, in the same brand pod, you'll want to create multiple brand magnets, right? Depending on whether,
Okay.
like, I might be going to a marketing conference that's not so, focused on AI. I might be going to a founders conference, and I might be going to an AI specific tech conference. My brand magnet for each of these three places would be different because of what the
Okay.
system has already told me that that audience is looking for. I already know what they're looking for. It's going to give me ideas based on those actual searches. And so I know that I'm going to be ready with multiple of those brand magnets, and then I can connect them all to the same offer in the back end, or I can have multiple offers, but they're all connecting to my business on the back end of it.
Okay.
Did that answer your question, or is this more about how
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Nathan, how do we get access to this awesome platform? So yes, let's jump into this. So there's two ways. This is something that I had told Jonathan that we're going to be doing this week. So we have an intensive at Brandpod. We have an intensive, one-day intensive that we're doing this Thursday, where it's a 7-hour workday. So, and it's only a 15-minute break. So it's not for the faint of heart. But something that we're doing with our community is we are helping everyone build out all of their brand assets and get their flywheel starting to move within this 7-hour workday. So something that branding agencies and PR agencies will typically charge $5,000 to $8,000 just to start with, and will take a month or more to build out. We're going to get it all done in a day. So if that's something that you would like to be a part of, I got Jonathan's approval to share this with you guys.
Yep,
Again, it's
100%.
happening. Thank you. So again, it's happening this week. So I wanted to give you that opportunity to get in on this. This code will shave off $300. And what we're doing is also giving a $300 rebate for anyone who shows up and just does the work. So that's a total of $600 that you'd be able to get, if that's something that you want to be a part of. Or if let's drop the links in here. If you just want to check out just the platform, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Yeah, thank you. So you've got the intensive. Let's put in the other link to Maha. But if you just want to check out the platform, you're more than welcome to do that as well. You're going to be able to just get in there and play around with the different parts of the platform depending on what your goals are. You can start vibe coding things, or you can start really thinking about your flywheel. And you're welcome to do that as well. Same code will take $300 off. Okay, so on the light plan, that's free for 30 days, and it's going to shave off $300 from the pro account as well. So you can literally get in there. There's free credits this whole until the end of March. We've got free credits, unlimited credits going on. So this is really a chance for you to jump in and use it for free as much as you'd like to just check out the platform and see how it works for you.
That's amazing, Ruheene. Thank you for that offer. So just to make sure I'm understanding of it, with that 30 days free access, 30 days free usage, AI credits, or a bunch of AI credits are included as well, just if we want to try it out. And then guys, I got to tell you, if you're serious about building a brand, although I've not sat through Ruheen's entire intensive, I really want to recommend that you guys consider that if you're really serious about your brand. To be able to sit down and have a day's worth of access for that is really incredible. And I think it was really generous to do not only the $300 off, but then a $300 credit at the end as well. So you end up with essentially a $600 off if that's something you're interested in. At a minimum, guys, go ahead and sign up for your free profile, play around with it. You will absolutely get value out of it. And I believe you'll get value out of the intensive as well, because again, I've got a tremendous amount of confidence for Ruheene and her team after having met them and literally went back and forth. Even the first time we were supposed to do this, probably shouldn't say this, Ruheene, but the first time I wasn't quite ready. And I'm like, Ruheene, we got to reschedule. I'm sorry. So Ruheen's done an amazing job of building that trust and earning it. You guys know I don't just willy-nilly bring vendors to you guys, and Ruheene is definitely someone that I trust. So if this fits with you, great. If it doesn't, at least sign up for that free trial and learn how it works.
I appreciate that so much, Jonathan. Thank you so much for having me. And for anyone wanting to check this out, there are literally no like traps anywhere. You can try out the entire thing for free. Again, unlimited credits until the end of the quarter, not just 30 days, but until the end of
Wow,
March.
that's cool.
Yeah, and if you do decide to jump in and sign up for a subscription and then you find that it's not for you, we also have a 30-day money back guarantee. So we don't trap anyone. It's really if we can provide value to you, we want you in our community. Otherwise, if you're like, I would rather like use different tools, we're also an open book with what other tools and combination of tools can do something maybe kind of similar.
Awesome. That is amazing. Ruheene, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it greatly. I'm so excited to see all the changes that you guys have brought in, to see this brand new software get launched and brought out. Again, I'm thrilled with it. I can't tell you, I talked with you as I was playing around with it, just totally impressed. And I love how you're making it easy for people, because sometimes AI isn't as easy as we want. We still feel overwhelmed. I even feel overwhelmed sometimes. So I love how you've put all this together. And the other thing I love is that this can replace a lot of other things that you have. So you don't necessarily need that. Viveka just talked about that, great opportunity to replace a bunch of those apps. And that often can lead to a savings as well. So I see we had one question about something about no Ireland. Can they put in a different phone number is there a issue we can help them out with that? Rhoda's running into a problem from Ireland per chance. Or if not,
That's
if we
a good
can
question.
figure out. Rhoda, can you
There's
tell just a little more detail there? Was it just it wouldn't accept the
Sorry,
Ireland
can you
phone
hear
number?
me? Yeah,
Yeah.
when I tried to just sign up, it said put in your phone number, so I put in all my details, and then it clicked the code, the 00353. There was no Ireland code there to click on. We're not part of Great Britain. We're a separate country.
Oh no, I'm so
Gotcha.
sorry about that. Canal, what do we why wouldn't
Just
it
put
ask?
Ireland there, just to add Ireland as a country, like Greenland, something like
Sounds like
that.
an important country to add.
She's got
Yes, thank
Kunal
you.
right there next to her, as you can hear. So I'm sure they'll get that fixed in just a moment. That's
We'll
awesome.
fix
Good
that.
catch on that one, Rhoda. Thank
For
you.
now, just use any
Do you want to come in here and just answer?
I'm sorry. For now, just use any country code that you want to use. Once you sign up, you'll get an email. Just reply back to that saying that it needs to be changed to the Ireland code, and then we'll fix that on the back end, and we'll also get this fixed right away.
Okay,
Thanks,
perfect. And it
Kunal. That's awesome.
looks like a great website to use. That's why I was keen to get in there. So thank you so much.
Well, and guys,
The
I can tell
beauty
you in
of
my experience with working with Ruheene, this is the way that Ruheene does things. I mean, something comes up, they fix it. Very much like Whitebird Strategies. You guys know you're dealing with me and my small team. Ruheene's the same way. You're not. This is not in a good way. This is not like you're dealing with Adobe and you're never going to talk to somebody. Ruheene and Kunal and their team really care. And it's one of the reasons I'm so happy to be partnering with them on this, because I do think that what they're bringing is a good value. I want you to make your own decision. That's why you've got the 30-day free trial. But I think you're going to be really happy with it. And that's why we brought it to you guys today. So, Ruheene, thank you again. I appreciate it so much. Love hearing the feedback from you guys in the group. Just a quick reminder before we go, and Ruheene, if you've got anything else, I'll give you a send off as well. The replay will go out here momentarily. We'll have that. And just in a blatant sales pitch for my own training, if you guys haven't already signed up, if you love AI images and you're not making money with them, sign up for our image to income training this week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And we're going to give you guys over 70 different ways. Now imagine if you combine that with the brand that you can help build through Brandpod, and now we're going to give you 70 plus products that you can sell. You're not going to want all of them, but one of them is almost certainly to fit. That's where the magic starts happening. It's one of the reasons, again, I wanted Ruheene part of this. You're going to see Ruheene on some other things that we do as well, because I do think building that brand is so important to what so many of us are trying to do. And that's figuring out, how do we leverage AI to actually make money, either as a new business, as a new service offering, or just in what we're doing. And that brand is so incredibly important as part of that. So awesome. Ruheene, any last words for us of brilliance? Thank you so much for your time today. This has been amazing. Any last words?
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Jonathan, for having me. I really appreciate it. Any questions that you guys have about personal branding in general, you can find me on Messenger. I'm an open book. And if there's nothing else that you take away from this, I hope that you will just work on your story and your market positioning, because that is going to lead everything else that you do, not just for your personal brand, but also for your business and your offers and any goals that you have in 2026.
Awesome. Again, Ruheene, thank you so much. So thankful to have you here. Appreciate it. Kunal in the background, thank you as well. And I want to thank everybody that participated here. We had over 100 people on the call for most of it. We really appreciate you guys. One thing I'm going to ask you in final feedback, I always love, we want to improve on what we're doing. If you thought this was valuable and it was worth your time, will you give me a 1 in the comments and let me know? And if it wasn't, I'd like you to actually give me a 2 and then let me know what we could have done to make it valuable. I'm sure it was, but I want to hear that. We really want to add value to you guys every time we have one of these, even on these free calls. So thanks for joining us in the Spark session, everyone. We appreciate all of you. Ruheene, thank you again. Kunal, thank you again. You guys have an amazing day. The replay will be up within probably about an hour or so. Just watch that Google document. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.